He'll reset. Nowitzki again for the lead. Bang!
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into All Things Mavs. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down the Dallas Mavericks 124-112 victory over the Indiana Pacers. Your Dallas Mavericks are back in the win column, and I'm here to break it all down and tell you exactly what happened. Luka Doncic got another triple-double. Kristaps Porzingis looked like the unicorn once again. And honestly, the Mavs opened the game up absolutely perfectly. Now, if you didn't get to watch, the Mavs did roll out a new starting five in tonight's game. And if you watched my game preview of this one, I said, hey, Dallas should switch up the starting five. I said that the Mavs should go with Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr., James Johnson, and Kristaps Porzingis. That was assuming that Miles Turner wouldn't play, which he did not end up playing in this game. And you know what? Rick took my advice in taking Cauley-Stein out of the starting five, but he didn't play James Johnson in the starting five. He put the rookie Josh Green in there with the rest of those guys, and he went super small ball. So Dallas rolled with a lineup of Josh Green, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway, and Kristaps Porzingis. The Pacers also went pretty small in this one. Edmund Sumner, Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, and then Sabonis was playing their center position. Sabonis obviously has been on fire this year. He's pretty good in this game, but didn't get the best of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Mavs came out, and in that first quarter, the starting five clearly worked because they scored 37 points. That is the highest scoring quarter they have had all season long. They've scored 36 in the first quarter twice this year. One of those was against the Los Angeles Clippers in that 50-point blowout win. But Dallas came out on fire. They scored 37, but they still allowed 28 points by the Indiana Pacers. Now, Luka had a first quarter kind of scare where he pulled up with a hamstring injury with about 10 minutes left in the first. And honestly, I was pretty worried about it. But also then I realized, you know what? Luka Doncic grimaces and kind of seems like he's more hurt than he is more often than not. So it ended up not being a big deal. And Luka was dishing out some amazing dimes in the beginning of this game. The Pacers opted to basically double team Luka Doncic every single time at the top of the key. And Luka is big enough and too good of a passer for teams to do that. And so he basically turned up the assists and had 4 assists in the first 2 minutes of the game. And 3 of those first 4 assists were to Kristaps Porzingis. And Kristaps Porzingis in that first quarter had 10 points in the first 4 minutes. Just an outstanding start to the game for KP in a game in which, with Miles Turner out, you kind of expected him to take advantage of it, and he did. And that first quarter really early on was basically Porzingis, Sabonis, Sabonis, Porzingis, Sabonis, Porzingis, Porzingis, Sabonis. Just kept going back and forth. Now, second quarter, Dallas had a 10-point lead basically with 2 minutes and 31 seconds to go. And they looked like they were going to hold on going into halftime. And then I blinked, and all of a sudden, the Pacers were within 2. The lead at halftime was 65-63. Dallas was up 63-53 with 2.5 minutes left. So Indiana kind of turned it on. And then the third quarter, Indiana went on a little run in the beginning. They took their first lead of the game with 9:44 left. But Kristaps Porzingis had a huge answer as he scored 7 straight points and went on a personal 9-2 run to give the Mavs another lead. And basically from there on out, looked pretty darn good. Now, Dallas went into that fourth quarter with a 1-point lead and then just dominated the entire fourth quarter. Tim Hardaway Jr. stepped it up in the fourth and truly proved kind of to be that third option when it mattered the most. The Mavs won the fourth quarter by 11 points, 31-20, outscoring Indiana. Now, let's start with Luka Doncic because he did have a triple-double. He wasn't really the story of this game. Early on, yes, his passing was, but as a whole, Luka honestly didn't have that great of a game, although he did have a triple-double. He scored 13 points. He had 12 rebounds and 12 assists, only 3 turnovers. He was 5 of 15 from the floor, though, and 0 of 3 from 3. I don't know if that hamstring actually did bother him at all, but for the most part, he looked pretty darn good in this game. And in terms of passing, scoring, though, he really was getting stuffed at the rim. But also, can my man get a call? Can Luka Doncic ever get a foul call? He shot 4 free throws. He should have shot at least 8. He should have doubled that, but he didn't get a call. And look, the triple-double, it's impressive. And honestly, it moves him up on in the rankings. He is now the second fastest player in NBA history to 30 triple-doubles in terms of games played. Luka did it in 146 games, and that's second only to Oscar Robertson, who did it in 75 games. Now, I'm not going to get into the competition that Oscar Robertson was playing against, but honestly, I'm more impressed with Luka's triple-doubles. I'm just going to say it. Now, Luka also got his 5th triple-double of the season in this game, which is tied for the most with Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. But the story of this one for the Mavs is Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis was incredible. And if you watched my game preview, go ahead and say, hey, good job, Jimmy, because you called it. I said that he was going to have a big game if Miles Turner didn't play. And I said, you know what, based on last year's game against Indiana, in which he scored 38 points, I think that's reasonable expectations for Porzingis to have closer to a 30-point game. He had 27 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 block shot. He was 12 of 15 from the floor. That's 80% from the field. And you know what? 80% from the field, that's the highest he's ever shot in a game in his career for games that he has taken at least 15 or taken at least 10 shots, excuse me. He took 15 in this one. Only shot 2 free throws, didn't attack the basket all that much, but you know what? He posted up well. Only 3 of his 15 shots were 3-pointers, and he made 1 of those 3. Look, I can't tell you enough how valuable patience is with Porzingis. We saw it last year when he came back from injury, and we're getting it again this year, but this time it's turning even faster, and he's beginning to turn that corner. And this is a game that I'm glad he took advantage of Miles Turner being out, and he kind of dominated Sabonis down low, but also dominated mismatches that he kept getting, because Sabonis kind of got into early foul trouble. He ended up having 4 fouls, and he got a lot of those. Was it 4? Yeah, 4 fouls, and he got a lot of those pretty early on, and that kept him out of the game, kept him from really defending Porzingis as best he could, and that was huge for KP. My only complaint in this game with Porzingis is not on his end, but for the Mavs as a whole. Luka sat out a big chunk of the game, and Porzingis played with the second unit. And the Mavs second unit did get to kind of sustain their lead a little bit while Luka was out in the fourth. But there was that period in the third quarter that I talked about that the Pacers took a lead, or excuse me, in the second quarter, that the Pacers really took a run. And a large part of that is because the Mavs didn't get Porzingis involved in the offense. And if Luka's not on the floor and Porzingis is playing with the second unit, he should be involved in almost every other play. But other than that, I was so impressed with KP. He was defending the rim well. He's hustling well. He doesn't look gassed, and he didn't even look scared to play on that knee either. So now, after this game, he's averaging 23.3 points per game and 10 rebounds per game on the season, and he's just getting started, y'all. So go ahead and jump on the hype train while you can, because Porzingis is definitely in line for a big year. And the other guy I want to talk about is a guy who didn't start, and a guy I'm going to talk about pretty regularly is Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, Cauley-Stein, again, he's 7 feet tall, and he can jump through the roof, but he missed a few at the rim, and they were really frustrating. There was an alley-oop at the end of the game that literally the ball went like all the way in, and then the basket spit it back out for whatever reason. So offensively, I'm frustrated that he doesn't dunk more often, but defensively, I think he heard our cries. Because I complained about him in the last show, and now this game completely 180 for him. I mean, he was on the floor for loose balls. He was diving out of bounds. He blocked 2 shots in this game. He had his hands straight up. He defended well. He drew an offensive foul on Sabonis. And you know what? Rick Carlisle said after the game, the Mavs have been giving out a championship belt for defensive players of the game. And tonight, it went to Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, Rick also said that Willie Cauley-Stein probably would have started in this game if Miles Turner had played, which kind of brings me to another point. And I should have talked about this more with Porzingis, but KP is the Mavs starting center. Like, I think it is determined now that if the guys are 100% healthy, Porzingis should start at center because he is clearly made for that position, and the Mavs are clearly better offensively when he plays the 5. But Cauley-Stein off the bench was huge, and I think this proves that Cauley-Stein in short spurts is much better than Cauley-Stein playing a majority of the game. And when everybody's healthy, that'll be the case more often than not, but I was pretty happy with his defense in this game. Now let's talk about the water bugs, Jalen Brunson and Trey Burke. Trey Burke, first of all, 22 points off the bench. And you know what? If we'd gotten this version of Trey Burke in maybe that Toronto game, the Mavs easily would have won this game. If we would have gotten this in the Charlotte game, in the Chicago game, the Mavs probably would have won that game too. Trey Burke is a guy who every third or fourth game you can count on him to have a big game like this. And you know what? I think he's kind of an X factor for the Mavs. I don't know if I'd call him the 6th man, but he's pretty darn close to it. And in all honesty, if he can continue to have nights like this a little bit more consistently, maybe not 22 points every night, but give me 12 points on good shooting. He shot 9 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. Big game from Trey Burke off the bench, and it was a much needed. But Jalen Brunson started this game, and once again, Jalen Brunson, the starter, looks a lot better than Jalen Brunson off the bench. He had 19 points. He was plus 10 in the box score, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. And the way that he is able to orchestrate the offense as a secondary playmaker is very, very valuable to this team. And it's something that I think we don't really give him enough credit for. And in all honesty, there probably has to be a discussion of whether or not he should start when all these guys come back, because he's clearly better suited as a starter than he is off the bench. But maybe it'll start to translate at some point. I was very encouraged with him. I've always been a big believer in Jalen Brunson. I always kind of value the guys that the Mavs can draft and groom themselves, and that's what Brunson has been so far. And he was huge in this game. He was shooting well. He took smart shots. Didn't have a lot of bad turnovers. In fact, he only had 1 turnover in this game, and it was kind of on a wacky pass out of a shot. So Jalen Brunson, big props to you. I'm very happy with what I saw out of him. I could talk about Tim Hardaway, but I kind of talked about him in the game recap, so I want to talk about Josh Green instead, the 5th starter. This was Josh Green's best game as a Dallas Maverick by far. He had 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He dove on the floor for a couple loose balls, and also just played some solid defense. Defense wasn't all there tonight, but look, he gets rookie calls a lot. Like, he gets rooked, straight up rooked on calls sometimes that are just not fouls on him. Like, one time Jeremy Lamb straight up took his forearm, put it into the chest of Josh Green, and somehow, some way, Josh Green got called for the defensive foul. Bad call, good defense. I love his hustle. Again, I know offensively we're still waiting for him to show a little bit more, but he's still a rookie. He's 19 years old. He's super, super young, and he finished well around the rim. One thing that he does really well that reminds me of Devin Harris, who I know we all love as Dallas Mavericks fans, is he cuts off the ball so well. When he's not having the ball in his hands and he's in the corner, he gets to the basket, makes cuts, and sets good hard screens a lot of the time. So I was really encouraged with Josh Green in this game. Again, 23 minutes tonight, that's not going to be normal when guys like Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith are back in the lineup. But for the most part, you know what? I wouldn't be mad to see, 8 to 12 minutes a game from Josh Green in the regular rotation, because his energy and his hustle and his heart are very valuable on this team. He also, he pretty much did everything in the box score except grab a steal or a block with, again, 8 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 4 of 7 from the field. Good game from Josh Green. So the Mavs are back to 500. They're back in the win column. They are 7-7. They are just 3.5 games out of first place in the Western Conference, And now they're going to go up against the San Antonio Spurs, who defensively have actually been really good this year. I don't think we should write them off 100%, but I think that's a game that the Mavs could potentially win. And also, that could be a game that we get our guys back. Now, Maxey and Dwight Powell, I'm going to basically go ahead and ensure you that they will not be back for that game. But Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith, the 22nd is exactly 2 weeks from when they entered quarantine. So if they get cleared, and if the Mavs feel confident with putting them back on the floor, despite not playing for basically 2 weeks, we could see them back in the starting 5 or back in the lineup at some point. I'm not going to expect it. I'm not ready to go there. I'll have more updates for you in my game preview, but could be a game where we get our guys back. Great win for the Dallas Mavericks. Great to get back on track, and also great to just have a great offensive game. The Mavs have won a lot of games this year defensively, but the Pacers put up 112. The Mavs put up 124. This was a great game on offense. Porzingis is getting back in his groove, and Luka still managed to get a triple-double despite kind of being off offensively. I'm encouraged. Let me know, again, we're going to try this new practice in the comment section. Let me know one thing you really liked about this game and one thing you didn't like so much about this game. It's a little bit easier to do the things you like in the games that the Mavs win. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys. We just hit 2,500 subscribers, continuing to grow here on YouTube, and going to keep on stretching further and further. Give this video a like, hit me up in the comment section, and as always, go Mavs, baby.